Let's start with defence morale. A new survey finding that less than a third of the nation's soldiers and sailors believe their commanders are effective as defence morale continues to fall. This is a 2024 Workplace Experience poll found that only 32% of naval personnel rate their senior leaders as efficient, and that's even worse in the Army. It's down to 29%. With James McGrath, I wonder if the brass in Russell, in that suburb of Canberra, just down the hill, are worried about this, because I certainly am.
They should be worried about it, but I don't need a report to tell me that the soldiers based in Queensland are unhappy with the senior leadership. And the buck stops with a Defence Minister who's more concerned about his golf handicap and a weak Prime Minister who's checked out because he's bought his retirement home. The buck really does stop with the political leadership, and that resonates through to the weak leadership we see at Russell.
Not wrong. What about this plan? Terry Barnes, use your health experience to help us understand how we're going to allow pharmacists to call themselves doctors. What's this about?
Well, basically the Health Minister, Mark Butler, has told the Pharmacy Guild of Australia at their annual dinner that they're going to support extended study for pharmacists so that they can actually do 3 or 4 more years and get to call themselves doctor. And I don't begrudge a pharmacist doing that in the sense that it's respect for hard work put in. But certainly I think in the health professions generally, there's too much overuse of the title doctor. I mean, we have dentists, we have chiropractors, we even have vets when you think about it. It's confusing to the consumer, but the consumer's not going to get any better or any worse service as a result of this. And look, but I'll give it backhanded to Mark Butler though, Peter, because as you and I know, having worked in politics, anything that makes the Pharmacy Guild happy that doesn't cost billions of dollars must be okay.
Yeah, I do agree with you, though. I think it's brand confusion for someone to have a PhD or some other sort of non-medical qualification and use that term in the medical field. I think public users of the system need to know that a doctor, someone using the title doctor, genuinely is of that sort of qualification. Let's go to some of your campaigning expertise, James McGrath. Labor's National Secretary fronted up to the caucus on Tuesday and says, don't worry, I know you're a bit nervous about the polls. We're going to win the election because we will not repeat the mistakes of a Kamala Harris campaign, they said, against Donald Trump. We're not going to focus on personality. We're going to focus on policy. This is Paul Erickson. But of course, they're already saying they're going to absolutely target in a very personal way, Peter Dutton. Now, it backfired in the United States. And I think Australians have had a good look at Dutton. They've known him for nearly 25 years. They've made their assessments of him personally, haven't they? Well, what do you make of this strategy?
If they want to make the next election a referendum on Peter Dutton, bring it on, because Peter, with his decades of experience and his decades of leadership, will smash Labor every single time. But this is a Labor Party with people like Tanya Plibersek, who called Peter Dutton the Voldemort of politics, referring to him one of the bad characters out of the Harry Potter series. This is a Labor Party who want to campaign on the economic record. Well, good luck with that, because there's a cost of living crisis out there that they've done absolutely nothing for, and they didn't know about it until Paul Erickson did some focus groups. They're not going to learn from the lessons from America, and they're not going to learn from the lessons from Queensland. We want an election now, and Australians want change.
For all the talk in the US, Terry Barnes, about the female vote turning out for Kamala Harris, the black vote turning out for her, never materialised. They went backwards too, with a lot of ethnic minorities, including the Hispanic vote, quite significant in the southern states. But what they didn't factor in was this huge bro vote, the brothers vote, the boy vote, the male vote, that came across millennial men to Donald Trump. People are saying this could happen to the Conservative side of politics in Australia. And I have to say, when Abbott was elected in 2013, our greatest growth, our greatest jump in vote numbers was 18 to 35-year-old men. Well, it's interesting, isn't it? Because I think those young men, particularly those who haven't had a university education, particularly young tradies, I guess, are really looking for people
in politics who actually understand their needs, not understanding the elite's needs, not understanding the university-educated needs. And certainly, I think the bro vote in the US, is quite remarkable. But I think you've got to actually give credit to one man, one very young man, who put Donald Trump on the path to getting that bro vote, and that's his son Barron, who actually advised him on who he should talk to, which podcasts he should go on. And it's really paid dividends. So, look, I think the person with a future in American politics on the back of that is Barron Trump.
James, I'm going to ask you too, the Electoral Manners Reform Bill came into the Parliament. Looks like it's supported by your side and Labor. But geez, you've upset the Teals.
Anything that upsets the Teals and their billionaire backers is certainly something we should look at. We haven't made a final decision on the electoral reform bill, although we have said a big fat no to the electoral communications bill, which wants to bring truth and political advertising into Australia. Look into the detail of that bill. It is an ugly attack on freedom of speech in Australia, and I and many of my colleagues will die in a ditch to make sure that bill never becomes law.
Here, just like misinformation, disinformation, I think is going to die a natural death. Thank you both for your time. Have a lovely weekend.